It's my audience. So, I'm going to talk to you today about date rape, and sexual assault. Studies found that sexual assault is associated with an increased lifetime rate of attempted suicide. A history of sexual trauma before the age of 16 in women is particularly strong correlation of attempted suicide. So a lot of guys think that some sort of force is okay, maybe not even full-on rape, but some sort of assault or even catcalling is okay, but it's really traumatizing to women, and it's causing many women to commit suicide or even attempt suicide, and it's just a huge problem that's not really addressed that much. A lot of people tend to think like, oh, well, if a woman were to dress appropriately, then it wouldn't be a problem, or she's asking for it. But blaming the victim on the problem isn't solving the problem, it's just ignoring the problem. So I just wanted to educate you a little bit on the hurts and the pain that date rape causes and sexual assault causes on women, so that maybe you'd be more inclined to think twice before succumbing to those fleshly urges. So a experiment was done where men filled out an anonymous questionnaire where 33% of men said that some sort of a violent force would be okay. And that's just like a physical violent force. A lot of men manipulate women or say, like, well, if you really love me, you would do this, but that's not consent. No means no. And a similar study was done where they were given hypothetical situations. The situation that they gave was if a man and a woman are like at a club and they're dancing and flirting, and then they go back to her place and they start doing some stuff, and she initially agrees to sleep with this man but then changes her mind. 63% of men said that some sort of force in that situation would be okay since she started it. Well, she also finished it. So it's not okay, because no means no. Even if they initially say yes, they said no ultimately. And a lot of men think like, well, I just can't control myself. Yes, you can. There's many people who stay single and they're celibate, and even the Bible says it's better for you to be single. Now, I'm not saying you have to be single. It's okay to get married and to have sex eventually, but it's not okay to attack women because of these urges that you have. You can control those urges, and if you can't, you really shouldn't be pursuing women anyway. So, like saying a woman's fault, saying that it's the woman's fault for the way she looks is like saying if somebody's house were to be robbed, it's like, oh, well, it's their fault for having nice stuff. Well, that doesn't make any sense. All these arguments that these men have are completely invalid. So, another study showed that people who believe that rape is a woman's fault or that some sort of force is okay also believe in the restrictions of women's rights. So these men that think like, oh, some sort of force is okay, just believe that women are lesser than men and women are just here to serve men, and oh, well, they don't need that, they don't have these rights, when we are all created equal. The Bible says that we are all created equal in God's image. So another thing too is that men don't realize how painful it is for women. They think like, oh, well, yeah, that hurts or that sucks if you get catcalled, but they don't really realize the depth of it. But like I heard this quote that if someone says that you hurt them, it's not up to you to decide whether or not you hurt them. You just hurt them. And I feel like a lot of men think like, oh, well, I didn't mean to. Well, you still did. And another thing I found was that in recent years, new data have been appeared further suggesting that cognitive behavioral interventions for post-traumatic stress disorder was subsequent to sexual assault. So in other words, women that are getting sexually assaulted, not even full-on rape, but just attacked or traumatized in some way, experience the same disorder as veterans from war, so that these women are just as traumatized in some areas as veterans who experienced the act of war. And in all of these studies, I realized all of the research I did in all these studies didn't call these women victims of rape, but they called them rape survivors, which implies that there are women who do not survive rape, so that some women are actually dying from this, and it's still a problem that is not being addressed, and that is just being ignored and even being blamed on the victim. So I just really wanted to educate you all on the dangers of rape and the pain that women go through for it. And just so that you know, maybe next time, to just keep in mind, when they say no, they mean no. Thank you.